attendance here. Mr. Podak, are you present?
Here.
I'm here. And we will excuse Mrs. Lehman. As of yesterday, the full recording of the last Finance Committee meeting was made public and on the internet. I've reviewed it. You reviewed?
I've seen it. I move to approve it.
I second. Finance Director?
Good evening. I did send out last week the financials for December. We did get closed without too many hiccups, and we're able to get people back into the system relatively quickly this year. At the end of 2025, we did have $23 million in the various bank accounts. West Banco being our primary bank. At this point, we did have $5.5 million in Star Ohio investments and $8.9 million in our Red Tree investments. Of the $23 million, $4.5 million was encumbered, meaning we have already accounted and have commitments out there with contractors and others. So our spendable amount going into 2026 is $18.6 million, of which $11.5 million is in our general fund. And if you go back to the 5-year forecast, that $11.5 million that we're starting 2026 with, by the end of 5 years, does work its way down to $3.3 million with all the various projects and things that we're going to be doing over the next 5 years. This year, we'll have almost $12 million in capital expenditure projects. Not all of those will come out of the general fund, but it does impact the general fund to the tune of about $3.5 to $4 million. So we've accumulated the dollars, been conservative in committing to projects, and now that we know where we're at, we've aggressively committed to those projects and want to get those done beginning in 2026. In terms of revenue for the year, our overall revenue came in right at budget. When you look at the revenue in the general fund, we had estimated $10.5 million, and we came in just under that, and that slight decrease was in the income tax revenue. So our forecast was off. However, the revenue was actually up $500,000 from the previous year. So it was just a forecast issue. Not that we didn't grow, we did grow. And that number is the important one because any future commitments really come out of future income tax revenues, and can we continue to grow those revenues through economic development and things of that nature. In the enterprise funds, which begin on page 8 of the revenue sheet, the water fund revenue actually came in at $600,000 higher than estimated, and that was primarily in our water fee revenue. And the reason for that is, if you remember, in 2024, we had bumped rates in August, and then we came back in January of 2025 and bumped them at the beginning of the year as well. And so in trying to forecast that activity through, we were conservative in our estimate. We thought we'd generate $4 million in water revenue fees, and we generated $4.5 million. So that's the reason for the increase in the water revenue side. On the sewer side, which is Fund 520, a couple things came through. The $3.1 million in sewer revenue was our estimate. We came in at 3.4. And we also picked up 196,000 in leachate processing. And we had forecasted zero for that because that was something new that came through. We did not know at the time of the budget back in August of 2024. In closing out those funds at the end of the year, I know one of the issues with fiscal emergency was, will our enterprise funds be sufficient in our 5-year forecast? And as we closed out the balances, it looks as though we're going to be fine. Cindy McCaffrey from the state auditor's office and I will be meeting next week to go over all of the accounting issues that were identified back in 2016 to make sure those have all been properly addressed going forward. And based off of that conversation, we should be in a pretty good position at our meeting in February of the commission to begin that petition process. So it looks as though we are on the right path towards petitioning to move out of fiscal emergency here in 2026. Again, that process is a long process. If we can get it started in 2026, there's no guarantee that we'll be out by the end of 2026, but we will have at least begun that process with confidence when we go into it. And that's really what we're waiting for. We want to make sure when we petition that the petition will be approved. And so we're trying to get all our ducks in order to make sure that happens. Any questions or comments, concerns on 2025 financials?
Looking at getting out of financial emergency, as I understand it, and just correct me if I'm wrong, the state gave us a grocery list, basically, of things that need to be corrected. If I'm not mistaken, that's all pretty well taken care of. And a lot of the issues that are hanging there will be something that is as part of the routine that just needs to be addressed every year.
Correct. So some of the controls that were lacking back in 2016 and prior had to do with purchase orders and requisition processes, the budgeting process, the balancing process. All of those have been corrected, and now that part of the accounting process and the internal controls is in place. We've got the department heads really engaged in that process now, and also helping set the budgets. So a completely different world today than it was prior to 2016. And so we're fairly confident that all of those processes are in place, and we're in a pretty good shape to be able to come out of fiscal emergency and stay out going forward.
I think that's the ultimate goal, is to stay out. Getting out is obviously a big score, but staying out is.
Correct.
The revenue, the 196,000 on the leachate, we didn't start generating that revenue right away, did we, in 25?
No, we did not start it until May, I believe.
Okay.
And it was more out of a need. There was a spill that needed to be cleaned up and processed.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, we are, so on the leachate, a couple things happened. Back in 2024, we put infrared processes in,
Mm-hmm.
lamps in, spent a couple $100,000 to process our own wastewater, but by implementing the infrared technology, it allows us to actually process leachate as well. And so with that in there, I believe we are forecasting another 190 this year in the forecast in leachate, but that actually could be higher than that. It was a very dry season last year, and the more rainwater, the more rain runoff there is. And that's really what you're processing, is the rain runoff.
I think prior to the lighting, we had approximately 5 or 6 months a year, maybe 7, that we were able to effectively treat that.
Sounds
Now
about
we're
sounds about
12
right.
months.
I don't know if the mayor has any better insights than that. I think that sounds about right.
I don't have anything else. Let's vote
I
at.
don't, was our investment guy gonna come sometime the next few months?
Yep, okay, to bring up the fact that we do need to move the February Finance Committee meeting to the first
Right.
Right.
meeting of the month instead of the second. So he can come to that or in March, depending on what our agenda is. And so as we get closer, we can identify whether he'll be here in February or March, but he is available. And he would like to come give us a review of 2025 and kind of an idea of what to be looking for in 2026.
One suggestion I have, we would normally be meeting on the 17th. Would be our normal finance committee meeting with the other committees, council. I'd kind of like to keep that open to where we can have a second finance committee meeting in February and use that to potentially pick up some loose ends that we have. We've got a lot of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might work out to bring him in if that works
The
for
second.
him on the 17th.
Okay. I will let him know that tentatively he's scheduled for February 17th and that we will have two finance committee meetings in February, one on the 4th and one on the 17th. Is that correct? Third. February 3rd and February 17th.
Mr. Mayor,
I have nothing to report.
Ms. Safety Service Director.
Nothing to report.
Bob?
Nothing, I know we're gonna go over the draft of the brochure, so that's front and center at this point.
So at this juncture, the committee is going to review and critique the brochure that we've assembled. Actually, Sue has done a wonderful job on this. That we can use as a handout to attract candidates for the finance director's position. I noticed we got a duplication on the second page.
This is the old one.
Okay. I wonder if that's it. No, those,
It's old. The new one's 2020.
yeah. Well, for
Yeah.
for what we're doing right now.
Well, I think all the council people have that. As far as the timetable, when we come back in on February 3rd, we want to have the final version of that and get it posted at that point. So if anybody's got any critique, anything they'd like to see changed on that, please let Sue know before that time.
We're going to, when we go into the regular council meeting, when it's finance committee's turn to report, we're going to take some time with everybody on council and give everybody an opportunity to read it, critique it at that point if we can. So. You see anything else that?
No, just the two meetings that we'll have in February.
As far as the draft, any thoughts there?
No, looks great.
Okay. Seems redundant to go into this any deeper, we'll just wait till regular council. Okay, again, the next Finance Committee meeting will be on February 3rd
5:30.
at 5:30. And tentatively will be on the 17th of February as well, 5:30.
Move to adjourn?
Second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 5:45.